because what we're doing ain't working. Hey, gang, welcome to the show. Your saltwater guide with Bill Varney, hanging out here talking surf fishing, talking this
Woohoo!
unbelievable summertime weather that's here. It's going to be 88 degrees in San Clemente on Monday, Bill. Can you believe
Wow,
that?
that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
No
And you know what's
swell.
yeah, you know what's crazy, Dave, is like we're coming out of last week where we had about 3 days of rain and wind, depending on where you are, and had some really good surf fishing. Can you imagine what it's going to be like in this upcoming week? We've got this great weather. We have light winds, moderate surf, no rain. We don't have any big wind event at all. We've got astronomical tides beginning on Monday of next week, leading into the next Grunion runs. I mean, what more are you asking for out there? It doesn't get better than it is now, but it's going to get better. That's what's so crazy about it.
Yeah, it is. And gang, we're so happy that you're all here to go on this ride with us today. We're back to talking about fishing. Believe me, the two of us would love to spend this whole time getting you all wound up on politics, but we know we got to get back to the basics. We got to get back to fishing because that's what it's all about. We got plenty of time. We got 16th and 17th of April. We're going to hit them hard. We're going to show up and we're going to do what we do now that we know. But today we're going to get way deep into this surf fishing thing that Bill Varney is so good at, breaking it down and letting you guys understand all the things that make Matt Ryan and Jason Cutter and all the other surf fishing guys look so good. And John Stanley, I bet you're having fun setting on the boat. And Jason Cutter, what a night last night. I don't know if you saw what was going on, Bill, but Justin was out hooping and it sucked. It was
Mhm.
about as crappy as it could be in Long Beach. And Jason Cutter and Jason Cutter and Jim were down in with Pablo, and they were
Mhm.
knocking the crap out of him. They had limits for 5 guys. So there's just so much cool stuff going on right now. And then, like Bill was saying, this weather is just going to be incredible. And the Grunion run has got all those fish pushed up on the beaches. And then the weather's going to be epic. And then, Bill, you have such a great relationship with Okuma, and Okuma is our big sponsors on Wednesdays. They take care of us so much on Wednesdays, and we talk about their spinning rods. We talk about their spinning reels and how great they work in the surf. And that combination, and we're going to show you a cool little video with our buddy Benji Kim here in a little bit, but we have a great special going on right now with Okuma. You get that Rockaway surf rod, 25% off till the end of this month. It's a phenomenal rod. You guys can use that right there. We don't have a QR code for you, but we do have this. If you use Surf Hansen 25, and Hansen spelled Hansen, and the number 25, and I'll leave it up on the screen right below Bill's chin for a little bit there. And then we're going to talk surf fishing right now because it's so exciting what's happening. Bill, talk about how insane the fishing gets when that grunion shows up on the beaches.
You know, the Grunion thing is amazing. And Dave, you and I have talked about it. The fact that these fish can come out of the water and spawn and live 5 or 6 years after coming out of the water and do it 5 or 6 times. It's absolutely amazing. We think we had them coming in February and certainly in smaller numbers, but nobody was really down on the beach. And then the first scheduled run, which was basically a week and a half ago, great Grunion. The Grunion were in really big numbers down on Pacific Beach, a little bit less maybe around Torrey Pines. And then they were in Huntington Beach, Newport Beach. Oddly enough, Seal Beach had very few of them. And then Hermosa. And now, although I didn't get a report from Venice Beach, I'm sure anywhere between Hermosa, LAX, and Venice Beach, they were there too. Just a couple coming in up in Santa Barbara. But the reason for that is that the water's still a bit cool up there, and they will kind of gang up here in the southern part of our bite and then work their way north. So these Grunion runs, boy, there's all kinds of halibut, and we've had a couple of really big ones, a 30-incher down in Carlsbad just this week, pulled in over the rocks on the beach there where they were trying to come in after those Grunion. So there, it's really going to improve fishing all the way around. And of course, we've got another Grunion run coming up at the end of this month that we need to prepare for. So I'm really thankful for Jason and the other people who sent me photographs, videos, and just reports of what they saw at the beach. That's so important that we keep a log of all those things.
Right. And Matt Ryan, don't worry, Lisa and Matt, Friday, we're going to have the recipe section up on the app. You guys can all grab Lisa's lobster macaroni and cheese recipe, plus all the other great recipes y'all come out with. We're adding that to the app on Fridays. So, Bill, this Grunion thing has been near and dear to my heart. Before you started working with me over here, that was kind of my little hidden secret. Me and my boys would go out and get those Grunion, and it didn't matter if it was red tide or what. It was game on when those Grunion would hit the water. I'd use and you probably have a better way because I'm just an old fisherman and I just use what I got. I would use like a 2-aught, or excuse me, not a 2, a number 1 or a number 2 thin wire hook, and a very, very, very small, like a 16th or an 18th of an ounce sliding sinker, just enough to get that Grunion to get down so that the birds wouldn't eat it. And it was game on. Then that thing would roll around in that white water wherever the boiler rocks were in South Laguna or Main Beach Laguna. Back in those days, we used to be able to fish in Laguna. And then down along the kelp beds, San Onofre, San Mateo Point, all that stuff, that Grunion worked so good. What's the kind of setup you're going to tell Jason Cutter or Matt Ryan to use now that they got a handful of those things?
If I'm fishing from the beach, or I'm fishing from a jetty, or I'm fishing from the bay, I'm using the Carolina rig. And what I'm doing is I'm collecting those Grunion, taking them home, refrigerating them for the rest of the night so I can sleep, waking up the next morning and laying them flat out on a paper plate, or on, like I was saying the other day, on a cookie sheet, so that they freeze straight, and then popping them off, putting them in a Ziploc bag, and taking like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 of them down to I'm going to have a big day, and I'll leave some of them in the car in a ice chest and take the rest down to the sand. So that's how we're getting them ready to rig. And then when we rig them, we're rigging them on the Carolina rig. And I'm normally hooking them through their chin, basically up through their nose. I don't want their mouths to open. And I'm fishing them frozen. So if they have a turn in their tail a bit and they're unfrozen, as you retrieve them, they will spin in a circle that look totally unrealistic. So I'm going to try to fish them as long as I can frozen like that. And then on that Carolina rig, I'm fishing probably an 18-inch leader and a 3/4 ounce sinker, but that would be on an open beach type of area like Belmont Shore, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach. But when I'm fishing from the rocks or really, really close to the rocks, I'm going to downsize my sinker to as little as of an 1/8 of an ounce. So if it does get hung up in the rocks, I have a really good chance of just popping it out of the rocks. When you get a 3/4 ounce in the rocks, there's no getting it out. It's just breaking your line off and you have to retie. So that's how we're fishing them on the beach. And it's just a cast out, use a fan casting motion, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And these are all the things I go over on our segment on Your Saltwater Guide in complete detail. And then just a slow retrieval towards shore.
Okay. Hold on a second. I'm reading comments. Matt Ryan wanted to know, well, first of all, we got to block this one guy. I'm trying to get rid of him. First of all, Pablo, congratulations. What an epic night. I'm glad you're with us here today. Thank you very much. What a phenomenal night you had, dude. Way to go. And it's got to feel really good inside to outfish Justin, even though Lisa was on the boat. And I'm sorry, Lisa, you've had some epic nights. But when Pablo's out there fishing, he's usually the guy that doing what Justin was doing. So it had to feel good last night inside. I know it's just some friendly competition, but what an unbelievable night, Pablo. And everybody kept texting me, telling me what you were doing besides yourself. JC was on there the whole time. Because it's just, I don't know, it's just something about Justin, and then you got to catch more than Justin. That was pretty rad. Daniel Rubin, I love your website. It looks epic. I'm sorry, I've been up to my neck and alligators this morning trying to get my taxes done. But Daniel Rubin, the website looks beautiful. We can make a QR code for it. And then Matt Ryan says he loves to use the Carolina rig, Bill. And he wanted to know, Bill, do you use a trap hook on the back of that Grunion ever?
Yeah, that's a good question. I only use a trap hook when I'm fishing to keep the halibut. If I'm just going to catch and release, just down there to have a good time, which is most of the time for me, I'm just going to use a single hook. But yes, if I was catching for subsistence and I wanted to be sure to take one home, I would use the trap hook on the back of it, and I'd set that small treble hook right in the tail of that. And you know, one thing about the trap hook is the tail of the Grunion. One thing about that trap hook too is it really kind of helps to keep that bait somewhat straight also, provided you make it the right length.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing throwing it in the surf than it is from the back of a boat throwing it in the surf, because Bill's standing on the beach. Matt, you've done it both ways. It's a different presentation than when you're standing on the back deck throwing it into the surf. But the thing about the Grunion, Bill, is we always want to throw them as shallow as we can, because that's where those fish are feeding on them, right? They're moving in to eat on the beach. And a lot of guys on their boats don't understand. They're like, I could fish here on the beach. Yeah, and that's what you should be fishing on the beach with the Grunion. It's an incredible bait.
Exactly. You know, one classic spot that has been good forever, really since they built the harbor in the 1900s, is Long Beach Harbor, along Belmont Shore there. And so what we often would do, I'll admit it now, hopefully I don't go to the slammer, is that there are swim buoys all along the beach there. And Santa Barbara has those too. And it's for the protection of the swimmers. But at sunrise and early in the morning, there are not only no swimmers down there, there are no lifeguards down there. So what we do is when we're halibut fishing that area, we go between those buoys and the sand and drift that area inside those buoys until the lifeguards come and kick us out. In other words, just like you said, Dave, we try to get as close as we can to the sand. If we can cast into 1 foot of water and draw our bait back out to the boat in maybe 6 feet of water, that gives us a chance to cover that entire inside section, which is where those sea bass come in close in order to feed and to wait for those Grunion to come into the troughs and the holes and all of those things you're going to find on the inside.
And then I'm putting your QR code up there on the screen. Gang, we got a huge audience right now. It's probably one of our biggest audiences we've had in a long time, Bill. We got 60 some people watching only on Facebook alone. Gang, all the stuff you're hearing us talk about, and especially this surf fishing thing, there is a knack. There is a whole different approach to it compared to fishing on your boat. And if you want to learn how to do all the things that make you a better surf fisherman, and Matt Ryan, you're on here, Jason Cutter, jump into Bill's bundles here on the site. It's called Your Saltwater Guide. And then Bill has his own bundles on there, surf fishing game plans. And I want you just to go into, people don't quite get it, how much information is right there at their fingertips. You can't get this kind of info anywhere else. Well, you can sit down and read his book, but like most of us that don't know how to read, we want to watch a video. I'm throwing most of you in with me that I'm not a reader, but talk about that for a few minutes here. We're going to get back into the surf fishing thing, but I want everybody out there to have an opportunity to catch fish like Matt Ryan, Jason Cutter, and Bill Varney do all the time.
Exactly. Well, you know, the thing is, Dave, is that, you know, not only are there the weekly game plans, so we have obviously a surf fishing report section that says, hey, this is where, you know, this is the fish that were caught, and this is the general region that they're in. But the secret to be successful at fishing is not being told, like, this is where the fish were yesterday and go back there. It's knowing the conditions to look for. Yeah, maybe getting pointed in the right direction, but once you go to that direction, knowing what to look for is what makes the difference between being successful or being unsuccessful. One comedian once said that there's just a small difference between catching fish on the beach and standing there looking like an idiot. So we want to get you out of the idiot mode and into the catching mode. So what we do is not only every week do we cover up to date, up to minute fish reports, but we cover all of the conditions. So we look at tide, swell, wind, weather, grunion runs, all the things that are happening. And then I give you tips for the upcoming 7 days on what are the best days to go, what areas to go, what are you looking for. So you've got all that. That's all fresh information every single week. And then in addition to that, we have dozens of videos. And then on the site overall, we have hundreds of videos. We have over 50 articles written about every type of surf fishing. There's got to be like 8 in there just on halibut fishing alone. All of that's available. And if that's not enough, you can call me, you can email me, you can text me and say, hey, Bill, help me with my game. Make me better at it. What do I need to do to be better at surf fishing? This is where I live. Where should I go? What conditions should I look for? Those are things that we do. So we cover everything from the personal aspect and then to the videos and articles to make you a better angler, right down to the weekly videos that come out that tell you not only what we're catching, but these are the conditions coming up for the next 7 days. And this is how to set yourself up to be successful at surf fishing. So those are just some of the things that we offer on being a member on the site. You'll not find any of this anywhere out there. None of this information is available but right here on your Saltwater Guide. And I really enjoy doing it every week. And I've got to tell you, Dave, in the last, like 6 months, every week I get dozens of people who send me emails and say, thank you, Bill. I learned so much from you. I learned so much from your reports. I become a better angler because of it. And I'm telling you, Dave, there's a lot of people out there that from a catching standpoint are better than me. They have taken the tips that you and I have given them and they have taken it to a whole new level. So not only are they learning from us, but we're learning from them too. It's a great experience and it's a great community. I love being part of it.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we've done it exactly the most professional possible way. And Brent, you were asking about the app. Everybody should know, if you don't know, I spent an epic amount of money to produce that app, which I just got to find out exactly how much I spend to make the app work every year too. Besides, when you build an app, that costs a fortune, but then to keep the app running, it costs a bunch of money too. Because this app is the most professionally run app ever made for fishermen by fishermen, with over 500 plus how-to videos, which Bill adds new videos all the time. Captain Al, Captain Pablo, Captain Justin. And then every Thursday, you get Bill giving you a game plan on how you should approach this surf fishing thing. Because let's be honest, most of us have that job thing. So why do I put the game plans out on Thursdays? Because that's when my 90% of the people are going to take off on Friday to go fishing, or they're going to fish Saturday, or they're going to fish Sunday. So if you decide to go fishing on any other day than Thursday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all you got to do is pick up the telephone. This is where our website and our app is different than anything else out there. You have the owners of the information giving you their personal phone number to call them. That's unheard of. And it's such an honor when someone calls, and I know you feel the same way, Bill, and so does Pablo, Al, and Justin. When I've talked to them a million times, when you guys are blown away when it's us that answer, it's an honor to feel that way. And we're just guys that want you to be successful when you go fishing. We don't want you to get ripped off. We don't want you to buy tackle you don't need. We don't want you to buy hooks you don't need. We don't want you to buy weights you don't need. We want you guys to have the very best opportunity to get to do what is our passion on a daily basis. And the only way that we're going to be able to hand this off to the younger generation is by doing what Bill and Pablo and Al and Justin are doing. We're teaching how to hand this off to the next generation. This has never been done before that I know of, Bill, unless they're doing it on some other planet They've never done this in California. I know that for a fact.
That's definitely the case. You know, when Fred Oakley taught me so many of these techniques, especially about different live baits, how to find them and catch them and keep them alive and rig them and all that stuff. He meant to pass that off to me. And we're talking about the 60s, 70s, 80s, to pass that off to me so that I could hopefully teach a few people in the future. Fred Oakley had no idea that the internet was going to be invented. He died in 95, really right after desktop computers came about. And he had no idea that his vision of surf fishing and of the passion for it and the enjoyment of it and the taking care of the resource, he had no idea that this could be passed off to really hundreds of thousands, if not hopefully a million people here in the world, the United States and California in particular, about this fantastic sport. So we are really blessed, Dave, to have the ability to take all of this knowledge that we've gained over a lifetime and allow people to learn from it, to watch videos on it before our days are over. Because if we didn't, all of this knowledge would be gone. I really did not know more than a very small handful of people 20 years ago who knew any of this stuff about surf fishing, whether it was the bait or the light line techniques or the rigging and all that. It was always an old cumbersome style that just a few people participated in because they put on a 4-ounce sinker and throw it out there and put it in a sand spike and sit around and hope something would happen. Who wants to do that? How can you have a passion for that? So when these new techniques were given out and all of this information about how to find these different baits and different lures to use, it made the whole thing so exciting. And so many people have taken the sport, surf fishing, to heart, not only have a passion for it, but have come up with all kinds of new products, ways to do it. It's really quite exciting.
Yeah, it is. And this guy spoke with you a couple of days on the main stage there at the PCS show. And we're going to show you guys a really cool video Benji Kim has. And because of this video, that's why we're getting that great deal on the Rockaway rod. Check this video out. We'll get right back to talking about fishing.
My name is Benji, and today I want to talk about the surf setup that I've been using primarily for the past year. This is the Okuma Inspira ISX 3000, and I got the Okuma Rockaway SP 10-foot M+. And this rod has a line rating of 10 to 20 pounds and a lure rating of 1/2 to 3 ounces. What I love most about this rod is its combination of sensitivity and power. You can feel everything on this rod, but when you hook into a bigger grade fish like stripers or bigger halibut and sea bass, it can handle the bigger grade fish no problem. I have the rod paired up with the Inspira ISX 3000. This thing comes in at 8.5 ounces and has 18 pounds of max drag, which you'll never need. I love that this reel comes with carbonite drag washers installed. Most reels come with felt washers. It's a beautiful reel, super smooth. I've been fishing this from the surf for over a year now, and it's still ticking just as smooth as the day I bought it. This reel also has a cyclonic flow rotor, which is gonna help funnel water out and keep the water out of the reel. This thing comes in at only $100. It's priced as a budget reel, but I feel like you get a lot more for it. It's really been my favorite setup for the past year.
So gang, if you check out that right under Bill's chin, there's the code. You use Surf Hansen, HANSEN 25. You're going to save 25% on that Rockaway surf rod. And you're going to go over, I'm going to tell you, you're going to go to okumafishing.com to order the product. You get it right from them. I'm going to put their QR code up, but you got to remember, just because you're entering through the QR code for Okuma, you're still going to have to use the code when you're purchasing this product. And then once you got it, you're going to be set. And Bill, talk about how important that, what Benji was talking about, the way that it dumps that water out. That's kind of a unique thing because of the sand that's in that water.
Absolutely. And actually that was the thing I was talking to Okuma about just a couple of days ago. And that is one of the big historical changes on improvement in gear. You know, we're so lucky. I mean, really over like the last 30 years, braided line invented, the perfection of 2-speed reels, the making of these very light but very strong rods. Like, all of these things have changed in the last 30 years or so, which have really benefited fishing. And one of them in the surf is that, if you remember, if everybody remembers, if you went back like 20 years ago and you went to buy a spinning reel, it always said on the box, oh, this is your freshwater spinning reel. Like, it didn't have any saltwater spinning reels at all. It didn't put that as the name on the reel. And one of the reasons was that if a wave splashed up on you, or the wind was blowing sand, or you were taking a fish off the hook, or you're putting on bait, it was inevitable that a piece of sand, or a grain, or 2 grains of sand would get splashed inside your reel. And then the next time you went to try to turn the handle, that was it. It wouldn't turn at all. It was like a Second World War Jeep after sitting in the field for 60 years. Did not work at all. So one of the manufacturers came up with the idea of, we want to do some sealing of the reels. We want to make the reel so if it gets splashed with salt water, it's not going to be ruined immediately. And of course, Okuma came out with a great idea of removing that forward and reverse switch on the front of reels, which nobody uses. I still can't figure out why you would reel your reel backwards unless you were making a commercial for TV, because they always use somebody on TV who's fishing who has no idea what they're doing. You can always tell that. So once they got rid of some of those things, it reduced those reels getting ruined by just getting splashed so easily. So that's one thing about the reels, and that's why the Inspira, the Avenger, and we were just talking the other day about a new reel that's going to come out for the surf that's light and sealed with somewhere over 20 pounds of drag pressure on a reel as small as a 2500. It's so exciting. Now, Benji talks about the rod that he's using, the Rockaway series. That's for a heavier bait, like he's Lucky Craft, Battlestar, using those type of lures. And then this rod, this is also the Okuma Rockaway, and it's made very light because it has a split handle on it. This is the model that I use, an 8'6" medium light, 862 ml. And then this rod is great for when you're fishing bait. So anywhere from an 1/8 ounce sliding sinker to a 1 ounce sliding sinker. That's basically the range you're going to use in the surf on light line surf fishing with bait, grubs, Gamakatsu baits, things like that. This is the rod I use. So I use the 862 ml 8.5 footer. They also have a 9 footer, and then Benji's, mine is a medium light. His would be a medium heavy. That's the only difference between these two rods. So I've got this rod for fishing bait, and wow, it weighs about 4 ounces. Amazing. And then I've got Benji's rod, which I use for crocodiles, Castmasters, Lucky Crafts. It's a little bit heavier rod. I normally fish a 9 footer on that. You can also get it in 9.5 feet, I believe. And the reason we use a heavier rod on that is that when we're bait fishing, and grub fishing, we give a general cast out there, medium cast or so. When we're fishing Lucky Crafts or other lures, we cast the rod as hard as we can cast that rod without snapping it in half. And that's why you need more of a medium heavy. It's not so much for the size of the fish as it is the lure you're using and how you're casting that rod. So Okuma's covered everything you need on the beach. They've got the lightweight rod for fishing baits. They got the heavier rod for lures and so forth. And they've got the great surf fishing reels.
And what was the model number? Do you know?
I don't know. The model number of the one that I use is RSP 862 ml, and that's 862 would relate to 8.5 foot. And then you can get a 9 footer, and I believe a 9.5 footer, and mine power is medium light ml. And I think if you looked at Benji, if we went back to the video, his is medium heavy is the rod, and it's probably also an 862, which is 8.5 feet or larger or longer.
And you just want to go to the website. The QR code's right there. That's the QR code that's going to take you to the Okuma website to purchase that rod, the Rockaway series rods, and then you're going to have to pick what style of rod you want to use. You listen to Bill, maybe go back and listen to the show again and hear what he's talking about, the different sizes of the rods, but you're going to save which is absolutely incredible. 25% off. That's an incredible number. That's a huge number. So take advantage of this. And this, use the code Surf Hansen 25 to save your 25% off. Now, Bill, a couple of people asked this question. They sent me text message. Have you ever put the hot sauce on the Grunion like you do on your sand crabs?
In general, you don't need to do that because Grunion themselves have a particular odor to them in relationship to their eggs or their milt. But that doesn't mean you can't do that. And the thing is, if I was to do that, as I would use, let's say I'm going to put it on grubs, or I put it on, maybe I froze some sand crabs. I mean, you try them in the middle of the winter. I'm going to take my Grunion and put them in a Ziploc bag, the sandwich size, and I'm going to squeeze one or two of those hot sauces in there and let them just soak in that. Now, often what we'll do is we'll put those in there before we freeze them. And that way it's kind of impregnated into it once it thaws out a little bit. But it certainly will not hurt to use that. Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, I saw another question from Matt Ryan in there earlier, and that was about horny corner. And that just shows you how much Matt and I know about where we live and where we have lived in California. Horny Corner is an area in Long Beach where there's several bars, and just to not go into too much detail, the bars now are a gender bender bars. So you go there and that's where you pick up somebody and you take them home and you have a relationship with them, hopefully over time. But now it's like all kinds of different folks, It's kind of like a melting pot. It used to be where
12 hours, at least a 12-hour relationship.
That's right. In college, we used to go there in the 70s, and dudes were dancing with girls back then. So that's the area. So that's Los Alamitos Bay there. And I'm just going to say this. Matt is part of our surf fishing group. And I'm letting Matt know that if he wants great detail about that, he can give me a call. This is what will happen with everybody who's in our group, Dave. If they want to know the inside baseball on this stuff, they know they can email me, text me, or call me, and I'll give them excruciating detail to make them a better angler there. But with that said, Los Alamitos Bay, and many of the bays on the coast, but that one in particular, is an extremely good spot fin croaker, some yellowfin, really good corbina, and halibut spot in the spring and the fall inside the harbor. Really good. It's been a secret spot for years, and very few people know about it. But if you're in our group, you can text me, call me, send me an email. I'll give you all the juicy details about where to go, when to go, and what to use for bait.
Now, right there on Horny Corner, is there ghost shrimp there at minus tide?
There might be.
Okay. All right. I've often thought about that.
Dave, you're not in my group. I cannot give you the inside info. Okay.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah. I'll call Captain Al.
Captain Al will let you know. Yeah. So one thing about that is whether it's that bay or other bays, San Diego Bay, Mission Bay, Los Alamitos, King Harbor, etc. If there's and all of those bays have ghost shrimp in them. If you go in that bay and you go at low tide and you pull up ghost shrimp and all of the ghost shrimp are this long, let's say they're 2 to 3 inches long, and maybe you went up the street to the tackle shop and you bought some that were these beautiful ones that are like 4 inches long that if you don't use them for bait, you can just throw them a little olive oil when you get home and that's what you have for lunch. You're always going to want to fish those little tiny ones because that's what occurs naturally in the bay, not these big ones. So you throw out a big one out there, you think, oh my gosh, I got this big juicy ghost shrimp. What a beautiful bait. Big fish in the surf in the bay did not get big by being stupid. They see something in the bay that is unusual for where they live. They see millions of little tiny ones that are 2 inches long, and they see a 5-incher. They're not going to touch that 5-incher with a 10-foot pole. So always remember to fish with things that occur naturally in the areas where you are. If the sand crabs are the size of a dime, use those, not the one you found that's the size of a $50. And that's one thing just to remember inside the bay. Just one of the many things that you'll learn on your saltwater guide.
And it's super important to understand, gang, these areas that Bill's talking about, Matt Ryan's, these areas have been fished hard the wrong way for a very, very long time. So just because you went there and didn't catch anything, that doesn't mean there's no fish there. It's because you didn't do it the right way. And so that's what we're trying to show you guys is there is a right way and a wrong way. Now, it doesn't always work that way because at the end of the day, it's still fishing. But it's nice to know that you're doing everything right. Then you have that confidence level. I promise you, when you have the confidence level that you're doing things the right way, it just seems that you get more bites. You're not second guessing yourself. You're not going, well, what I always try to tell Bill, is when they stop and think, all of our members, and we have over 5,000 that have been with me since 2017. This is what goes through their minds. And now they're the guys that are members with you are thinking the same. When it sucks, they got to stop and think for a minute, what would Bill do? They got to stop and think, what would Dave do? Dave's not going to give up. Dave's going to do, wait a minute, I've been doing everything wrong here. And I was just, because I did it wrong last time I was here and it worked. But if you stop for a minute and think about what Bill did, and that's where the app comes in so handy, because I don't care if you're surf fishing or if you're fishing on your boat. This is in your pocket or in your backpack. You just pull this up, click on it, and go back and look at what, okay, all right. It says it's an incoming tide right now. I'm using a ghost shrimp. I'm standing here at such and such a beach. And then you watch Bill's video about what you're doing and you go, wait a minute, this isn't what Bill does. Why are you doing that? That's the cool thing about our website, Bill. It's just, that's how easy it is, gang. That's how easy it is.
You know, Dave, I can't tell you how many times people, and I know I'm the same way with other stuff. Freshwater fishing is a good example. Have come up to me over the years and said, I read your book and it taught me everything I was doing wrong. And once I started doing things right, wow, my game just improved insanely. And I agree. Like, same is true with me. Like when I came up here to Colorado and I was fishing trout, I was using all my California techniques for trout. And I met this guy that was like super good at it. And he said, hey, these are kind of the rigs these are like 3 examples of the rigs we used. And I was like, what? It's stuff I never thought of before. I never would have ever thought it worked. I would have never been able to set it up that way. But he showed me in one afternoon. And Dave, as you know, like go on my Facebook, you could see like I took his techniques to heart, man. I mean, these 8, 9, 10 pound trout, this summer I'll get one over 10 pounds. I learned all of that from somebody else in just a few minutes of instruction.
Right. Rick Maurer, I love your comment. When I was young, I've been sober since 89, but when I was younger, we used to take the boats up to San Pedro to haul them out of the water. And on the way home in the afternoons, we would stop at Joe Jost and have a few cocktails or it wasn't cocktails. It was beer or wine at Joe Jost. And that's where I learned how to eat pickled eggs. Oh my gosh. They had that big thing of pickled eggs on the bar
around.
Oh my God. That was in the 80s. And there was many days where I don't know how I got from there down to Dana Point, but that's a story for another time. But I saw Joe Jost up there and I had to, and the 49er bar. Absolutely. That was a great place too. We went to all these places when I got sober when I was 30 years old, 29 years old. So I haven't been there in a long time, but I remember them very well, you guys. Thanks for putting those up there. Brought back a lot of great memories. But back to fishing, Bill.
Yeah, well, let me mention something about Lisa. Sorry, just step on you. First of all, Lisa comments that at CSULB, she married the water polo goalie. Well, my dad was the goalie at USC, and then I played water polo at UC Santa Barbara, where we won the NCAA championship. So you married a great guy. All the water polo people I know are awesome. But I've got a big announcement to make today, and Lisa brought it up a little bit earlier. Several other people mentioned it too, about learning right on the beach, classes right on the beach, and so on and so forth. So I have just put up and I'll announce right now that on Saturday, July 26th, we have our surf fishing on the beach seminar at Bolsa Chica State Beach. We have a limited number of spots. It fills up very quickly. But what's so totally awesome about it is we get down there first thing in the morning at, between 6 and 6:30. We have coffee and donuts for everybody. We have about a 20-minute seminar in the seminar area. Then we go down onto the sand. We spread out on the sand there. We bring all the different baits with us. And me and a group of my buddies, we teach you right on the sand how to surf fish. So it gives you an opportunity not only to learn all the rigging and all that, because we're going to cut your rigging off during the clinic. We're going to make sure you're rigged up perfectly, exactly what we use. And then we're going to meet you down on the sand. And when we come and talk to each one of you, that's your chance to say, hey, Bill, what am I looking for? If I was to come to this beach, where would I fish? What conditions do I look for? What baits do I use? How long is my leader? All of that information is going to be right on the beach, and you're going to have a great time in addition to that. So here's a couple things to think about. If you're part of your saltwater guide and you're part of my section of your saltwater guide, all you need to do is just send me a quick email when you have a minute and say, Bill, I'd like to come. We'll put you on the list. There'll be no cost to you whatsoever. If you're a member of Saltwater Guide or not a member, but you're not a part of my section, the guide, we do ask for a $35 donation, which goes to CCA. You can go right to surffishtackle.com. That's where you sign up and give the donation to us. And as I said, we limit that. It's going to fill very quickly. Sometimes it fills in less than 2 weeks. We're going to have you come down there we're going to ask you to try to get there around 6 a.m. That's when the park opens. There's a lot of people who are going to be at the park there on Saturday, July 26th. So try to get down there at 5:45 or 6, get in line. At about 6:30, we'll begin the seminar. So it gives you a chance to park. Could bring your rod over to the set. We'll help re-rig you if we need you at that time. And then we're down on the sand by, I would say, 7 a.m. or so. And we usually fish till about 10. There's no particular amount of time you need to stay. I usually stay till about 10:30. And then when that's over, we go right down the street to the Harbor House and we sit at a long table, those who want to come, and we have lunch together, have a couple beers, a couple burgers or tacos, have lunch. It's a wonderful time. I really look forward to everybody coming, but I do suggest go to surffishtackle.com and sign up as soon as possible. And once again, if you're already in my section of your saltwater guide, you just need to send me an email. We'll put you on the list to be down there and learn everything you need to know right on the sand.
Perfect. What a phenomenal opportunity, everybody. He's been doing this for a very long time, and now he's doing it for us. So that's awesome. Javi, I think is your name, or Javi, Javi. You're talking about fishing San Francisco Bay. You're going to launch from Alameda. What I like up there, and I got to fish up there quite a bit when I was doing my guide service. There is Alameda to the state park. It's about a 600 or 700 yard stretch of sand there. You get in about 35 to 40 feet of water, drive up and down there with your photometer on and try to find that bait. If you can find where the bait is on that beach, it is Alameda Beach to Robert W. Crown Memorial State Beach. All along there, 35 feet of water, you'll see where the drop-off is. Get right on that 35-foot of water zone and find the bait. Look for the bait there, and the halibut fishing is incredible there. And that's what we talk about on our website. We give you everything you need to be successful. Now, if you're not a member of our website, you may not be fishing for the halibut the proper way. Here's what Bill and I try to tell all of our members. We give you guys the greatest game plans, the best opportunity to catch fish, but we only know how to catch them the way we fish. So if you go there and you put on a 6/0 long shank worm hook and a 4-ounce 4-ounce pyramid sinker and 60-pound monofilament and go there and put a chunk of squid the size, like a 4x4-inch chunk of squid on, and go there all day and fish and don't catch anything. Well, you didn't see that on any of Bill's videos, and you didn't see that on any of mine. So everything has to work together. It's simple when you put the plan together, but a lot of people's ego won't let them take the last step to just do it Dave's way or just do it Bill's way. And that's probably why most of you aren't successful. I'm not trying to take anything away from any of you. Just because you sign up to our website doesn't mean you're going to catch. You're going to have to change the way you're doing things. I mean, Matt Ryan and Jason Cutter, since they became part of Bill's thing, and before Bill even put the game plan section together on here, you guys were having conversations before that. And you guys were dialing in. And like you said, you learned from both of those guys because they're seeing the conditions every day out there. Exactly. So everything has to work together, gang. And the way you present your bait has a lot to do with what you're going to catch.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. You know, I mean, you need to have a clue on what you're doing right or what you're doing wrong, which will help improve your game, A. And then B, you need what Dave and I have, time on the water. The more time you spend on the water, the more chance you'll have of catching bigger and better and more fish. And the more you'll learn because you have the chance of having trial and error. You get to use techniques that you learn and see which ones work in your area. And then I see that there was a question on there regarding, I think from Brent, regarding rod and reel combinations for the beach clinic. If you don't have a surf rod ready to go already, all you need to do is just go in your garage, get your longest trout rod. If you can find one that's 7 to 9 feet, that's the length you want. Just put on like a 2,500 size spinning reel with 4 or 6 pound test, and please put on new line before you come to the clinic. And that's all you need. And we will provide you with all the rigging. Gamakatsu has been good enough to give us hooks, and we've got sinkers and swivels, leader material, everything you need. If you have those things, bring them along. If you want to rig up yourself, do it in advance. We'll just double check and make sure you got the right things going there. But other than rod and reel and license, we've got bait, all the terminal tackle you need, coffee and donuts, and lots of good instruction. And there you go. You're ready to rock and roll.
And gang, jump over there and grab that QR code and go check out Bill's bundles. Bill, we're lucky we got Pablo joining us. He woke up. Look at him. Tell us about your night, Pablo. What happened?
Lobster King.
Definitely not the Lobster King. I'm like the lobster. I'm the lobster princess down here in Mission Bay. It's so much smaller, but they're so voluminous down here. It's crazy. It's like the best kept secret, I think. But yeah, no, it was a phenomenal night. I took out Jason Cutter and Tony Kendall, Saltwater Guide members, and then a couple other guys. One guy I met at the Bass Pro seminar, and who was the other guy? Oh, my old battalion chief. So it was just a great group, and I knew it was going to be a great night no matter what, because everybody was just so stoked to be out second to last night. And then even better, I got my slip back yesterday because I happened to be in the right place, right time. And so, yeah, it was a really great night. We whacked them pretty good. First set, I think we had like 8 or 10. I don't remember. And then we just kept getting them. And then we got limits for everybody by 10. And then we're like, hey, we can go back. You guys can go back and be heroes. Or if you guys want to work on crew limits too, we're down, whatever you guys want to do. And they're like, oh, no, let's get you guys yours. We're like, okay. So we did like another probably 30 minutes. And then starting like the very last set, when we pulled within our first 3, I believe it was, we limited out with 35, and then we still had to pull all the other ones. So we were just literally tossing legals out as we pulled them in, and it was a great night, and still ended up being late for me because, I had to do all the wash down and everything. But yeah, I slept in a little, but I'm going again tonight. So.
Oh, you got any people?
Yeah, I got Steve Bugman coming, and then who else is coming? And then I just got some guy that I don't really know, but he hit me up, and then yeah. So I think we got 2 spots, but even if it's those 2, we're gonna go because it's the last night, and I wouldn't mind, getting
Getting
some
a
more.
couple more for your freezer, right? Gang,
Yeah.
if you want to join Pablo tonight, I mean, I would think nothing's changed. It's almost exactly the same weather. I'm just saying that Bill knows more about weather than I ever will, but it would be hard to think that it's not going to be like it was last night, gang. And tonight's the very, very last night. Justin's chartered. You can't go with Justin. Al is not doing it anymore. Our buddy Kevin on the Alicia, he's full tonight. Tonight's the last night. You got an opportunity to go with Pablo. He's got 2 spots open. You're all listening. Listen, you're going to be bummed. It's going to be closed for the next 6 months. So this is it. This is your opportunity. If Bill was in town, I know he'd go because he likes to eat lobsters. I like to eat lobsters. If I was up there, I'd be going with you just to get 7 more for my freezer, man, just to go into the season. So, Pablo, I'm going to put your QR code up, but we have a lot of people listening on Spotify and Apple. Try to tell everybody, go slow, give them your phone number, and then, gang, you're going to want to call him right away. He's got 2 spots. That's it. 2 spots, the very last night for 6 months. This is it. Go, Pablo.
All right, you can call me at 619-431-3070. 619-431-3070. Let's get out there tonight. It's the last night. Our plan is to go out and whack them hard and get home early, but we always end up staying out just for fun. But you know what? Let's do it. Call me and let's get out there. We're going no matter what. So if 1 person wants to go, that's cool. 2 people, that's even better. 3 people, too bad. We already got 2. So we limit it to 4 people on the boat.
What a great night.
Yeah.
Thank you for throwing that up there, Daniel Rubin. But yeah, gang, give Pablo a call now. 2 spots to go catch yourself 7 lobsters for tonight. And he's not going to come in early. He's going to hang out with it. He's going to try to get you. We don't know if we're going to. I used to hear boats, Pablo, back when I first started this, going, we guarantee limits on all you can't. Well, that's the last boat I'm going on then. If they're already telling you, that means you're not going to, they don't know what they're talking about. You can't guarantee you're even going to catch 1, let alone limits. My goodness.
No, there's still guys that do that. And it's ridiculous because each day and each night is different. But like you said, everything is aligned right now for another great night. The waves are big. There's a good tide movement. I know the hot spot that we've just been smoking. JD's been smoking it. Darren's been smoking it. Jason Cutter, all of us, we've just kind of picked a really good area and we've just been hammering it and it keeps producing. So I hope lightning strikes again tonight. But, when people ask me for the guarantee, I say, look, if you want a guarantee, take your wife out or significant other for a lobster and steak dinner because that's the best bang for your buck, or go to the fish market. Now, if you wanted the experience and you want to come out and learn exactly how to do it on your boat, we don't hide anything. We share everything, teach you exactly what I'm looking at on the photometer and everything, and show you guys exactly how we do it. It's all about the experience. It's about pulling hoops, hooking them, knowing how to back down on them, and bringing them home obviously is super cool. Mine are all still out here in the in my cooler on my porch because I didn't deal with them last night. Checked on them this morning. They're kicking. They're waiting to, either get frozen or eaten. So yeah, it's all about the experience, and I can guarantee you a great experience, and we'll definitely see plenty of lobster because they're crawling, but we can never guarantee how many you're going to go home with. But I can guarantee we're going to try for limits each and every time. That's the goal. No one feels worse than the captain if you don't get limits.
Right. Well, I'm going to let you give everybody your number one more time, and then I'm going to get back to the show with Bill. I just wanted to bring you on here so you could get a couple more people to help you feed your family. Gang, Pablo's going tonight. He's got 2 people. He's not going to make any money. He's going to probably lose money with 2, but he's going anyway because he just loves to fish. If you want to join him, join him. He's got a great opportunity for you to go hoop netting with tonight. You're not going to change where he lives or anything like that by going, but you may catch some lobsters and have nice lobster dinner tomorrow night with your family at home. So think about that. And this is your last opportunity. Give him your number one more time.
Okay, it's 619-431-3070. And give me 1 second. I want to grab something.
And then I want you to update us tonight too, because Justin's going to be out there with Tut and Larry, and they're going to be out there looking for that monster lobster to win the $1,000 worth of product. Tonight's the last night. We're going to give away that $1,000 worth of product tomorrow for the biggest lobster of the year. Look at that one. There you go.
This is my little pet friend right here. He's still very alive and kicking. Never grab these without gloves, guys. Never grab them without gloves, okay? Because
those antennas are just ripping your arm apart.
The what?
That antenna is ripping your arm apart right now.
No, it is not. Look at this is my friend. I actually trained this one. I'm going to put a leash on him.
What's his name?
Oscar.
If Oscar was at my house right now, he'd be taking a nice jacuzzi and then joining Kelly and I for lunch.
I might eat Oscar for my pre-trip here.
Hey, Pablo.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you catch a limit of lobster and have it in your live well, and then continue to catch more and cull out the smaller ones and replace them with bigger ones?
So the straight answer to that is no, because once you keep them, they consider them already your catch.
Oh.
So a lot of people do that. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying if we're talking about the letter of the law or the spirit of the law, the letter of the law is no, you can't do that. You can't upgrade. But what you can do is obviously keep the best ones. And that's where you got to kind of make your guess, right? Is this going to be the biggest one? I try not to upgrade like that, because if they see you doing that and you have more on the deck and, they're going to be like, what are you doing? And it just leads you into a kind of paint yourself into a corner with Department of Fish and Wildlife. And I just don't like the hassle. I mean, there's no clickers in my tank, they're all decent, and I like the ones that I know by looking at them, they're legal. And then we still measure everything. But yeah, the short answer is it's not a good idea, but I know a lot of people that do that. So, but that's the way I interpret it anyway. I don't think you can do that. Even though you're keeping them live and well, you still retain them. They're out of the hoop. You know how specific they are. They want you to count them in the hoop now. And that's something that we used to always do. We used to always dump them on the deck and then count them. But now they're really specific. And you never know when they're out there. They're going to come out of nowhere and just to see if you're doing the right thing. So, yeah, I would say no to that. But, if people want to dabble with that and get on the radar with Fish and Wildlife, that's their deal, but I won't do that.
Yeah, it seems like you're in possession of them at that point.
Yeah, that's the way I take it. I mean, logically, like I said, the spirit is logically, yeah, they're fine. Of course, they can go back. They're hardy. Look at this guy. He's been out of the water and he's cruising and kicking. But, as far as they're concerned, you've already retained your catch, and the other ones need to go back.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. That's pretty much it. All right, Pablo, good luck. Hopefully you get 2 more. Keep us updated again tonight with your guys. It'd be fun to find out what's going on. Little competition between you and Justin. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Tell Kate we all said hi.
I will. Later, guys.
See you later, Oscar.
All right, gang. So listen, we're going to be back with Bill. Bill will probably jump in with us on Saturday morning on the fish report in the morning. Gang, it's super important that you guys participate with Bill and I on and Pablo and Justin and Al and everybody on Saturday mornings, letting us know what you did, where you caught, what you caught, how you caught it. It helps us out tremendously to know what you all are doing. The Saturday morning shows are super important for all of the members too, to find out that, hey, the things that you heard Justin say worked, or the things you heard Captain Dave say that didn't work at all, or the things Pablo says are working good. And then Bill Varney sent me down to this beach and I knocked the crap out of all that help matters. And it's a cool show because it's interactive and we want to interact with all of you. So give us a call on Saturday morning at 9:00 for the call in. And we'll take all calls, all callers. We try to cover everything. And what I would suggest, if you're not ready to pull the trigger and jump in and become a member, try to put together some questions that you have for why do you think you're not ready to pull the trigger yet. And you want to know why should I become a member? And then next Wednesday, when Bill's on the show again, you can ask him those questions and find out if this is really worth it. But the thing that Bill and I and Al and Pablo and Justin do, and Sonny, we give you 7 days to look at our website. All the stuff, Bill's game plans, Justin's game plans, Pablo. Why do we make it 7 days? Because no matter what time of the week you sign up, you're still going to get the game plans. So you can find out if it's even worth it. The last thing Bill Varney and I want to do is rip you off. If you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it. You can go, this is not for me. Like I always tell everybody, I know having the best information you could possibly have when you go fishing isn't for everybody. I understand that there is a lot of people out there that want to suck. And we won't let you suck on our website. But Bill, tell them they get free.
Absolutely. It's so great because, you can go in and you can take a look at the videos, the game plans, you can even talk to us, ask us questions. And if that's not right for you, it's not, Dave and I are not doing this to make a fortune. I don't think there's anybody in the fishing industry who does fishing to make a fortune, or, most people can hardly make a living at it. So we're doing it because we have a passion for it. And once again, Dave and I want to take all this information that we learned from other people. We didn't come up with this stuff. It was trial and error and learning clues from other people. We want to get that information out for everybody. And if you're the right person, you want to learn it, you want to be better at fishing, whether it's in the bay, along the beach, out on a boat, long range, at the islands, this is the place to come to. And we're happy to teach you everything we know.
Yes, we are, gang. Yes, we are. And I'm going to put the QR code back up there one more time if you want to check it out. Or all you have to do if you want the free access is pick up your telephone and give me a call at 949-374-0786. That is my phone. It's right here. I answer my phone. No one else answers my phone. Maybe once in a while Kelly will. But I answer the phone. I hook you right up with Bill. I'm not going to give Bill's phone number. I'm going to find out who you are first. I don't care. I'm the only guy in this whole industry that my phone number is on every bathroom wall in America. So that day is long gone. People go, you give them your personal cell phone? I go, everybody's already got it. It's not like it's a big hidden thing. But I beg for you to call me so that you can be successful when you go fishing. And now, Bill, without giving too much away for your game plan, let's say someone's on the fence. They're going to go fishing this weekend in San Diego. Just give them one little free nugget, and then we're going to end the show.
Okay, well, here it is. Are you ready? Let's say you're going fishing in San Diego this weekend. And let's say, for example, you want to catch a halibut or you want to catch a big spotfin croaker. Well, down at Torrey Pines, where the creek comes out, that was one of the many places where grunion were. So, of course, the secret to fishing the grunion runs is knowing where the grunion came in. It doesn't do you any good to go down to the sand and make a cast where grunion haven't come in the last 5 years. Once you're inside the inner sanctum there and you know all of these different spots where the grunion came in. And what you'll find, Dave, is that you'll find they often come in the same place. And why is that? Is because that's where they're finding it's not only safe, but the sand is soft enough for them to dig in and spawn, and then for the females to put in the eggs and the males to milk those eggs. So that's just one of the many things that you learn. But now that we're on the Grunion subject, if we could just stick on that for a couple of minutes here, not to bore everybody. So one of the questions was a really good question. How do we know when the Grunion are going to run? So one way to know is around the end of December-ish, around middle of December, around there, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, comes out with the dates of the run. And it really seems miraculous, doesn't it? It's like, wow, we got to wait for DFW to come out with the runs. Not at all. Take your calendar, for example, okay? The new calendar for 2026, the next one coming out, will come out in the very first week of October. And all one needs to do is go in the calendar and look at the month. Really February is really when the Grunions start, but they're in much bigger numbers beginning in March. And all somebody has to do is look at the calendar for March, find out on the March calendar which days are the full moon. Here's the new moon, or excuse me, the full moon. And here down at the end of the month is somewhere in there, right here, the very last spot there, that is the new moon. So March, April, May, June, July, August, you get your CCA calendar October, you look at those months, you see which day is the full moon of a month, which day is the new moon of the month. Those are the days that they're running. So the full moon and 2 or 3 or 4 days after that is when you're going to find the Grunion. You can schedule your schedule well in advance of those months just by looking at the calendar itself. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, super important, Dave. The next Grunion run is the last 3 days of this month. What happens the day after this month is over? It's April Fool's Day. No, it isn't, because it seems like it should be a full day. April, May, June, those are closed months. So if you want Grunion for fishing halibut at the beach, for eating, for taking out on the boat to catch sand bass, calico bass, and just about anything else out there, you've got 3 more days in this month to collect them, or you got to wait all the way to July. And at about halfway through July to have another shot at getting them. So get out there, in the last 3 days of this month, all along the California coast, find those Grunion, eat those Grunion, use those Grunion for bait. Don't wait until April 1st to think about saving Grunion, because you can't legally do it. So get out there. And if you do, let us know. Let us know what beach you went to. Try to do some video of what you saw or photographs, and let us know where those Grunion are, so we can continue to keep our log up that we can give to the Department of Fish and Wildlife. I've got so many videos right now for them to see the Grunion. I mean, you should have, the Grunion runs that I got a couple of days ago, the videos came in at a moderate amount, a nice amount. The video I got this morning at Pacific Beach had so many Grunion in it that if you went to walk through there, you wouldn't be stepping on them. They'd be eating your legs. There were that many. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that they have seasons now, Bill. It's so crazy. It's such a joke, because that's been my favorite bait for a very long time. And there was no, okay, you can't April, May, June. You got to wait till July. There was none of that stuff when we were growing up. It was just the Grunion are coming. Let's go get them. And you never looked at the calendar to figure it out, except that you looked at the moon phase and the tide. And that's when you knew they were coming for sure. But Matt, or Mike Lewis, that's what they do. The Fish and Wildlife give you their best. They go to Bill's calendar and they pick out the tide and the moon phase, and that's how they figure out when the Grunion run. They're pretty right on, because it's been going on since the beginning of time, and it's going to go on long after we're all gone. This fish is in zero. It's in no stress at all for population stress. There's no population stress on this fish at all. And I saw that comment the other night from that guy, Bill, telling you, well, that has to be a picture from a long time ago because there aren't any. That guy that listens to the mainstream media. Gang, there's no shortage of any of these fish. We're going to touch the end of the show with just a tiny bit of this political crap that we must talk about. We got to start showing up to these meetings. You guys did a phenomenal job helping us with the sand bass. And I say helping us, I mean the industry, not me and Bill, helping us. We're all going to have to show up on the 16th and 17th of April. There's going to be a lot of stuff on the table. I would say put your hand up for everything. Put your hand up for the kelp restoration. Put your hand up for the sea urchins. Put your hand up for the sand bass. Put your hand up for the deer. Put your hand up for the pigs. Put your hand up for every single thing, because Bill and I talked about this before we went live. They're on a mission. The NGOs, are on a mission to stop fishing in the state of California. And when they get that, then they're going to go to the other states. But right now, they know how fragile California is. They know how they've manipulated the living bejesus out of all of you to making you think there aren't any sharks. I don't know how many people have told me that I should never have filleted those shovel-nosed sharks because there aren't any. That's the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen. Just like the grunion. That's so ridiculous. And just sand bass and the rockfish and everything. But what it is, gang, it's a mission to stop us from fishing, period. End of story. They don't want you to fish. We all have to start showing up. The guys that are out there, the companies, the manufacturers that throw money at this problem and never show up, we've learned very, very well that money isn't the answer. It's we, the people. We have to start to show up, okay? These big conglomerates, these big manufacturing tackle companies that throw money at it and don't go to the meetings, that's not the answer. We, the people, if we show up, we can slow the process down. They have way more people showing up, but the good thing is, Bill and I, this free money that's been flowing out of our taxes to stop us from fishing is pretty much all but dried up now. So you're going to see less and less opposition showing up at these meetings. But what we cannot do is not show up. That is not going to do it. Just because we won a tiny little battle, we didn't even win yet because they still got to make a decision in April. We got to be there for every single thing coming down the pipe from now until the end of time. We got to be there. They want 0 grunion. 30 is not, that didn't help. They don't like that. They wanted 0, right, Bill?
Yes, they wanted 0 to 5. 5. Can you imagine 5 or 1?
Stay up till midnight to go down and catch 5.
Or 1. Like, what would you do with 1? You might as well just eat it right there on the beach, I guess.
It's still ludicrous that it's 30.
It is, and I do want to remind everybody of one other thing about the grunion that I remembered I wanted to tell you. So there's obviously this month you can take them, and then July and August you can take them. So you'll be in possession of them. So let's say that you have 10 of them, and you go down to the beach on April 20th, which is a closed season, and you've got them in a plastic bag there, and the Department of Fish and Wildlife comes to check your license. They may very well write you a ticket of $2,500 for taking grunion out of season. So when you do go to take grunion, regardless of where you are, where you find them, be sure to use your camera and take a photograph of the ones that you've taken, and also, if you can, of the run itself. Your camera will date those at that time, and you could use that to show the wildlife officer that you actually took possession of them during a legal take period. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. And if it's ticky-tacky, they got a new kid. The old-time fishing game guys, they aren't doing it. But the new kids, trying to make a name for themselves, absolutely. They could write the ticket, just like they could write the ticket for your salmon heads. I've told everybody that forever. People don't believe me, but if you don't have your salmon stamp and you have a salmon head on the boat, boy, it could get real dicey if you don't have your receipt. There's just too many ways they can get you. But here's what I want to have all you do from today until the 16th and 17th of April. Do us a favor. Us, we the people, share this. There's nobody else talking about this. You're not going to hear it on those AM radio shows in the morning on Saturdays and Sundays. You're not going to see it at any of the fishing conferences. No one's talking about this but your saltwater guide and us. So share this with everybody, because Chase Ofield told you yesterday he didn't even know about the MPAs wanting to take the rest of Laguna. He found out about it on accident. But we have such a huge mouth, and if you all help us share this, we can get the word out to everybody. We had 50 people on the Zoom call. Let's have 1,000 on the 16th and 17th. Let's try that. If it doesn't work, what are we out? I'll guarantee you the people that want to take it away from you are going to show up. So let's show up, gang. Let's just start showing up to everything, and I'll keep you all aware. And people ask me, how do we get on the Zoom? They don't let us know the Zoom until 48 hours before the Zoom. They don't post it anywhere. As soon as Bill gets it or my sister gets it, we will all have it. We don't want you not to be there. As soon as it's available, we'll all have it. And then we'll all sit there and we'll raise our hand. And now that you guys saw the process the last couple of meetings, now you know how the raise the hand thing works. Now you know how to log on and log off. Now you know how to act on the call. Slow your emotions down. Write down what you want to say, whether it's about the urchins, about the kelp. Do your own research. Go and do your own little bit of research. Write down some notes. They're going to probably give us a minute because there's going to be so many of us again. So write a minute. Even if you only talk for a minute, that's plenty. That's plenty. If you talk for a minute, but you don't lose your cool, we can slow this thing down. But let's write down some notes. Let's have everybody raise their hand for the kelp restoration. Let's have everybody raise their hand for the sea urchins. Let's have everybody raise their hand for the sand bass. Let's have everybody raise their hands for the disease the deer have. And I'll get Justin to talk more about that on Monday. But none of this is real. Bill, I'm sorry, we're going way over. This morning, there was a marine biologist on KTLA News. They have more sea lions right now washing up on the beaches than they ever have. You know what? He will not. And even I was so proud of the news anchor. She asked the question, do you think any of this has to do with the Malibu fires? And he said, no. And I'm like, how can you say that? We just washed billions of gallons of toxins into the water. And you have all these sick sea lions washing up on the beach. And he said, no, this is caused by a bacteria in the water caused by global warming. Oh, I about shot the TV. This is caused by the Malibu fires and the massive amount of toxins that are washing into Santa Monica Bay. And up and down the California coast, they're washing up all. He goes, this is what he said. He goes, well, that wouldn't make sense for the amount of animals that are washing up in Del Mar and San Diego. And I'm like, sitting there going, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world because we just had our first real rain this year. And everything you threw out your window, every time you drained your oil into the driveway, every time, all that stuff just washed into the water. It has nothing to do with global warming. But
it's such a bunch of baloney. First of all, it's a whole bunch of different factors. But right here in writing, it's backwards, of course, from NOAA and the state of California, right? water contact advisory, Las Flores State Beach, that's basically where the Malibu Pier is, to Santa Monica State Beach. Water contact should be avoided because of fluence from the fire. I mean, they say it right here, and then the dude's like, oh no, that can't have anything to do with it. Well, you know something? When they came up with this endangered species mumbo jumbo, they used what they called the best available science for it. That was done by some universities. I can't remember which ones. It might have been Washington, University of Washington, and maybe the University of Oregon who did it. Stanford University came back 10 years later after peer reviewing it and said there were some huge mistakes made in the study that was used to put them on the endangered species list. And one of those was they stated there was, and I don't know the exact number, but I'm just going to give an example of it. There were 80,000 sea lions counted in the state of California, but somebody did a mistake with the decimal points. It was 800,000 were counted at the time. So the number was much greater. It was about 10 times the number that they theorized that the biomass was at the time. And then you multiply that over all of these years of them being, off limits in so many ways. And that number has just grown exponentially. So they have nothing to feed. I just got a picture the day before yesterday from one of our fishing pals in Hermosa Beach of a sea lion sitting in 2 feet of water eating perch. This is something that never happened. Like, I have been on the beach for 65 years. It wasn't until maybe about 8 or 10 years ago was the first time I ever even saw a sea lion in the surf. So now this has happened commonly. They're coming in to feed on fish they would normally never feed on because they don't have enough food offshore because they're overpopulated.
It's crazy. It is crazy, gang, and they want to blame it on a phenomenon that's never happened before.
Exactly. Like
warming.
Tim points out here, Tijuana Slough, okay? He calls it a river. Boy, that's nice. Tijuana Slough has been pumping out raw sewage, dead bodies, clothes, urine, and everything else, bacteria into the bite in San Diego for decades. They never talk about that. They never talk about that, how it affects people. You've seen CBS reports about the Navy SEALs who came down with all these staph infections and all of this stuff because they went in that water. They never talk about that stuff. They never talk about how their environment that they supposedly are controlling are affecting the biomass. They talk about us as anglers reducing biomass by fishing with a hook and a line and a sinker. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. And we got to just keep diligent. We just got to be diligent on this and not allow the lies to keep going and just keep sharing this show, gang. You guys get so much out of the show. So share it. Share it with your friends and family. Because when you come out of this and you go talk to people today out on the streets or at your job or wherever you're at, you're going to be trying to talk about what Bill and I talked about. And it's like that game telephone. But if you share this show to all your friends, then they can watch it themselves. Most people hate the truth, so they're not going to watch it. But if you keep sharing it, eventually they'll turn it on and go, they don't want my grandkids fishing? I had no idea. Yeah, you better wake up.
Absolutely.
Gang.
And the thing is, Dave, is that there is so much information out there, whether it's from a person or the government, that is false. And you really do need to take a little bit of time to either think about it or research it. Let's use one example. There's a senator who's from the state of Arizona who drove a Tesla. They were going on and on and on and on for the last 8 or 10 years about global warming. We need electric cars. They didn't care about the kids getting killed in the Congo who were getting the cobalt that was used in the battery for the cars, but they were telling us how important it is. Then when they find this guy that goes out and he basically steps down from his job to make our government and our country better, what a terrible guy. The next thing you know, not only are they burning down dealerships that sell his product, but this guy from Arizona, the big senator who owned the Teslas, sells his Teslas or gives them away or takes them to the dump, or I don't even know what the guy's, I don't know where he got the money from being an astronaut. When you're up in space, how do you make money? But anyway, he goes out and buys 2 gigantic Tahoes that are the biggest gas guzzlers and supposed polluters in the world. And that's what all of a sudden he's driving, when like 6 months ago, he was talking about how global warming and climate change is ruining the world. And then he gets rid of his electric car that's saving the world for the biggest gas guzzlers and polluters everywhere. These people are liars. Okay. You need to really pay attention to what the facts are. And if you have a question about something, take a few minutes and do research and look it up and see what really the truth is about things.
Yeah, absolutely. And yesterday was one of the greatest days to be an American. That was an incredible feat that Elon Musk and all of his guys pulled off. That they, even on the news channels, the mainstream news channels, they couldn't say his name. They couldn't say SpaceX. They kept saying NASA. And I was telling Kelly, NASA is the reason why they were stuck up there. They got home because of SpaceX, but the mainstream media couldn't tell you that yesterday. And it was such a phenomenal deal when they landed in the ocean and that boat picked them up and they put them on the deck and they got the astronauts out. And you know where it wasn't on? And it hasn't been covered at all. And I didn't see it on KTLA this morning, not one bit. And I watched it for 2 hours. It didn't make mainstream media at all. Not even a tiny, we just saved the astronauts. We just brought them back. They've been stuck in space for over 9 months. And how does that not make mainstream media, gang? If you don't know now, if you guys still don't believe that mainstream media is lying to you, when Bill and I were little boys, we had the Apollo astronauts, which was real. A lot of people say, oh, it was real. It was absolutely real. And the whole world stopped. When we launched the rocket, and I remember in school,
we all had
we didn't even have to,
our teacher brought in a black and white television.
The black and white television.
All of the classes. It wasn't one class and everybody went in the class. It was one of the most important things. In the 1960s, after Sputnik went up and President Kennedy decided we were going to become not only the space race, but the winners of the space race. And I watched that first from on a TV in my 4th grade class. That first rocket went up. I had goosebumps. You know what I had yesterday, Dave? When that thing came and splashed down, I had goosebumps and something else. I had tears in my eyes.
Tears in my eyes, baby.
Beautiful things I have ever seen. And I was so excited for our country. There were so many young people. I mean, there were so many middle-aged people who watched that and were motivated to say, like, I want to work for SpaceX. I want to work for NASA. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be the guy on the crew of the boats that went out there, the speedboats, and saved them. It was one of the most beautiful things you could ever see. And I've got to tell you, Dave, you know, this guy, Elon Musk, I mean, he's this incredibly smart person, right? I mean, look at the things that he's done. Neuralink, tunneling, transit systems, automobile cars, spaceships, and all these. That's all well and good. And that whole thing we watched yesterday was like completely amazing. But no, what's really amazing about the whole thing is that the guy is so smart. He put cameras on everything so you could see his miracles so clearly. He trained those young ladies that were the spokesperson for both NASA and SpaceX about every single fact about these spaceships, about space itself, I learned so much yesterday about the astronauts I didn't know. They brought out the point that any astronaut who is in space for over 6 months is risking the remainder of their life to have water in their brain and their eyes, reduction in their bone density, all of these things that you cannot recover from. They pointed out that all of these extra months that they've been in space has been risking their life. But Elon Musk, the guy is incredible. They had cameras on all the boats, on the rockets, on everything. So all of us whether you're a little tiny kid or an 85-year-old adult, could experience all of this in first person, almost like you're there. It was absolutely a miracle. It was one of those beautiful things I've ever seen. And I'm so proud of America. I could not be prouder for what we have done and what we've seen. Whoever controls space will end up controlling the world and ultimately the universe. And if you believe in democracy, in fairness, in equality among people, regardless of your sexual orientation, the color of your skin, what you do for a living, your socioeconomic structure, who you believe is your God. If you believe in all of those things in fairness, you've got to believe in the United States of America. And to see what we did yesterday and we continue to do, to go up and save people from outer space, to have thousands of experiments that help us live a better life here on Earth, it's just an incredible thing. I'm so proud of what they did.
Absolutely. And Anthony, you're saying they're moving the landings back to California? No. I listened to a big, long interview, Elon Musk, when he was moving all of the stuff out of California. You know what the California fishing game made him, or Fish and Wildlife made him do during that whole process when he was putting SpaceX together in California? He had to buy, and everybody that was, he had to spend, he said somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000 on the California Fish and Wildlife fishing license. Everybody involved had to have a fishing license because when that rocket or any of the parts of the rocket would land in the water, there was a chance that it could kill a fish. So he had to spend that money. That's why he's moved the operations to where he's at, because of this ridiculous political world that we're living in California. He's not bringing it back to California. It's ridiculous. And if you go deep down the rabbit hole and see what they made him do to the California sea lion, that shows you they don't care about the sea lion. They made these sea lions put on these, strap these headphones to their heads, Bill, and made them listen to the rocket sound for days and days and days to see if it would have an effect on the sea lion. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. They did it to the point where they pumped it up. What volume would it be at where it would kill them? And they cranked the volume up to the fact to where it would kill the sea lion. And that's all in science, gang. It's just no, he's not coming. He's not coming back to California as long as Gavin Newsom's here.
And, you know, that was just such a miracle. The whole thing is a miracle. I really believe that the Lord watches over us. And when you think about that rocket, that it took off perfectly, the booster landed perfectly to be reused again, how good is that for the environment? That they went up, the thing docked incredibly. It docked at 35,000 miles an hour. The thing docked. It's just absolutely incredible. And those astronauts got off. The other astronauts came on. They closed it. They decoupled. They made their way back to Earth. I mean, that thing is coming through our atmosphere like a meteor. If the heat shield did not work, they would be vaporized in seconds. And they come back to Earth. That thing was moving as it got into our atmosphere at over 7,000 miles an hour. It landed in the water at about 15 miles an hour. And if that wasn't enough, if that wasn't crazy enough, that how incredible it is that we were able to do that, and of course, under the guise of the Lord, is that when that fella climbed on there to get the straps on there, and I don't know if everybody saw this, and he got all the straps in the right place. And the only way for him to disembark from that capsule is in a wetsuit is to dive off. As he goes to dive off, a pod of dolphin swimming in a circle around the capsule. And then when he dove in, they swam in a circle around him. It was an absolute miracle from above. And I can't tell you how proud I am to be an American, to see us do that. And really, Dave, is like, where do we go from here? We have so many places to go to with what the ingenuity, the smarts, what the things a private industry can do here in our country. It's just absolutely amazing and something to be so proud of.
And did you see what the left did to celebrate it? They burned down that Tesla factory yesterday.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's just the most insane world, gang. If you're on the fence trying to figure out what team you're on, all this should just piss you off to the level of pissed off that you can't even comprehend, gang. What Bill just said, let's just pretend like the rocket things, we do that every day. Let's just pretend like all that stuff that was just miracle stuff happens every single day. All right. When that diver jumped in the water and those dolphins swam around, every news channel on the planet Earth should have had that as the only thing they were showing. God, and you couldn't find it on one news channel.
Exactly.
It didn't matter. It wasn't on any of them because they're all involved in this giant stealing of our money. Left, right, middle, it's so sad. And it just was demonstrated yesterday at a level that we can't even, it just makes Bill and I want to vomit because we've been here since space first started. And it was such a miracle yesterday. And yeah, the transparency, Bill, that's the coolest part. We knew exactly what was going on. We knew exactly the speed. We knew exactly like when they hooked up and then they started to work on them and get them into the seats and we knew we knew about the footrest that Elon Musk had for each astronaut, made them their very own footrest that matched their foot size, their weight, their height, all these things. It's just so bitching.
God.
And how do we reward Mr. Elon Musk? We burned down one of his Tesla factories yesterday.
And people threatening his life and I mean, the guy wasn't even
because of the lying media.
I mean, dude, the guy wasn't even born here. And he comes to our country. He makes thousands of jobs for people. They pay billions of dollars in taxes. And then he goes and rescues our astronauts. I mean, we're really lucky the guy what if he decided to go to Russia? Russia would have been the people flying up there, saving our astronauts, making us look like a bunch of idiots. God, we are so lucky. I mean, but once again, whoever your supreme being is, that person is in charge and they really love America, man.
Yeah, they do. Gang, I love all of you. Thank you all for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this show. We had to get a little political at the end because yesterday was one of the most incredible days in Bill and I's short little lives on the planet. So you guys all need to go back. If you didn't see it, go back and watch it. It's available on YouTube. You won't believe it. Even if you don't watch it all, go watch the last few minutes when those dolphins swim around there and then tell us there's not a higher power greater than yourself running this thing. Because that was pretty magical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gang, we'll be with you tomorrow. The great Kelly girl's going to try to join us. She's still recovering from the sickness that we got at the PCS show. But she'll do her best to join us tomorrow. And then Friday, we got the great Paul Hebert joining us from Wicked Tuna. He's got some big announcements. He's going to be talking about that. You don't want to miss that. Our good friend Paul Hebert. It's always a good time when him and I get together. The energy in the room will be massive. And then Saturday, we need you all to call in and tell us how great your life is because of great people like Bill Varney. Guys, have a great day. Turn off the legacy media. They're all lying to you. Go watch it yourself. Do your own research, and let's get ready for that meeting on the 16th and 17th. Bill, say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.